fellow citizens and citizens of the world, we stand here in the aftermath of a highly contested election, of an election that all observers from across the board, all observer missions without exception, have rightly described as an election that is so damaged in reputation and that is so fraudulent in characterization, that falls short beneath the requirements of the Zimbabwean Constitution, the electoral laws, and the guidelines of our regional, continental, and global bodies. However, despite all these obstacles and impediments, these abuses, this election also unleashed a wonderful moment, a surge in resilience and hope from you, the Zimbabwean people. Some of you walked for dozens of kilometers. Some of you waited outside the polling station for dozens of hours, and often without food or water. Some of you braved illegal intimidation and threats that no free person should have been subjected to or could endure. I also want to particularly note that one Zimbabwean died in the queue as he waited to vote in Warren Park. May his soul rest in peace. I honor that legend. It must never happen in a proper democracy that a person would perish on account of wishing and wanting to exercise their vote. But guess what? You endured, particularly in Harare, in Bulawayo, and in Manicaland, areas and regions that are perceived to be our stronghold. Voting was suppressed. They didn't want you to vote. In the rural areas where they were voting, they were forcing them and intimidating them, commanding them to vote for ZANU-PF or face death. That command voting is illegal. That command voting shall be challenged. I can tell you of Nyanga North, where you had over 3,500 assisted voters. That has never happened. ZANU-PF had their own primary election. There was not a single assisted voter in that primary election. And guess what? 5,000 people voted. Now, over 15,000 people voted. But 3,500 assisted voters. Why are they assisted voters? Because they were forced to say, go and tell those who are conducting the polling that you are not able to read or write and you can't vote for yourself. So that we vote for you, we don't trust you. Those votes are votes that would ordinarily have gone to the alternative. Must say in a nutshell, what I've said, ladies and gentlemen, the election process in Zimbabwe was shamelessly flawed, violated the constitution of Zimbabwe, as well as the electoral laws of our republic. There was therefore an illegality and criminality in the conduct of ZEC and all the polling officers and officials that were involved. The election process was fraught with unprecedented illegalities, irregularities, and encyclopedic opaqueness and forces of darkness, particularly FAS, which has become a spooky, ghosty, and shadowy organization that takes instructions from those spooky headquarters. The election process itself fell far short of the SADC guidelines on elections and international electoral guidelines. And you know that this was a pronouncement of the observer missions, and we concur with that observation. Notwithstanding all this, you voted for a president of your choice. You voted for a representative of your choice at parliamentary level and at council level. And I want to thank you and congratulate you for that resilience, particularly across the whole country, especially in the urban areas and in the rural areas. There are people who are so courageous. They stood and they were able to stand toe-to-toe to the intimidation of us and other institutions like ZANU-PF, the terrorist organization, to be able to cast their vote. It was like a war zone. It was like a situation where they have to brave it, particularly in circumstances of intimidation and terror. Let me say that the electoral board, ZEC, regrettably and once again, failed to perform its constitutional mandate by not announcing the correct and the accurate results. Notwithstanding the flaws of the election, genuine results should have been announced. And we have the genuine results because we're working on the V11. But they used the V23. And the result from the V23 is not tallying with the results on the the V11s, particularly for the president, showing you that it was a doctored, it was an iron data configured by FAS, because the results from the polling station were transmitted to the FAS headquarters via the presiding office. And this is common cause. And that became our biggest problem. I've listened, I've watched. Some people are saying, well, there are no V11s. V11s are there. We deployed across the whole country. We were sufficiently represented, even though some of our polling agents were chased away, intimidated, and violated, particularly in Mashonaland Central and Mashonaland East, because those are terror zones where people don't exercise their vote. In fact, in Mashonaland Central, I was getting testimonies that people were saying, we did not vote. It was not an election. It was a coercion. So we are still waiting for an election. This one, we're just coerced to vote for ZANU-PF. So it is important that whoever is to sit on the throne of government in this country is aligned in legitimacy. This can only be achieved through respecting what the people voted for, even in an unfree election such as this one. But more importantly, we want to resolve permanently, comprehensively, and eloquently the problem of disputed elections. But until we resolve this issue, we'll continue to have a cycle effect.
All right, please bear with us as we try and bring you back that live stream. Right here, we are just on the ground here, bringing you the Nelson Chamisa's press conference. He has just made an address to the nation there. The address is still ongoing. We just had an issue with our signal, but please stay tuned.
We need free speech. Elections mean war. Elections mean intimidation. That cannot be civilized. People waiting to cast their ballot, they're being told that the ballot paper is being printed. It's in the printing press. And
Just made an address to the nation there.
You're supposed to vote.
The address is...
It shows you how shambolic the process was. It was a flawed electoral environment. There was a flawed electoral environment that says that there was widespread, particularly in the urban areas, in some parts of the rural areas, widespread suppression of the vote, inflation of the vote, manipulation of the vote, but in rural areas, widespread intimidation of the voters. Why would you need a poll survey at a polling station on a polling day? To do what? To ask what question? But it tells you that we have people who are bizarre, who do not believe in choice and the dignity of the person. They believe in dehumanizing others. And that is an issue to be challenged. And I must say, despite all this, given the assurance that we got from ZEC, we have seen that the election process itself has not passed the test of constitutionality, legality, and legitimacy. You are aware that on the 23rd of August, some people were not allowed to vote. And Harare ended up having a deficit of about 700,000 voters who did not participate in voting. It's legendary. It's almost half of the voters who did not participate. In the rural areas, I've told you about FAS, which is a spooky and bogus outfit created to terrorize, threaten, intimidate people, even interfered with the electoral process, including the printing of millions of full-color print flyers that were dissuading people from voting on the day in question, allegedly and purportedly having been authored by myself. But again, that propaganda shows you that those who authored it knew what they were trying to do, because you must then marry to the issue of ballot papers not delivered in time, particularly for the local authorities, because they did not want people to exercise their vote. Now, let me say, having said this, What are the next steps? What should the nation expect? There's going to be change in Zimbabwe. Whether ZANU-PF people want it or not, it's not going to be easy, but there shall be change. We will not wait for 5 years. There has to be change now. And we are going to lead in making sure that change comes to Zimbabwe. We put a full stop to this level. Whatever it takes, we must provide leadership. Mr. Mnangagwa knows that he has performed a coup since 2008, a coup on the ballot, 2017, a coup on the elected leader, 2018, a coup on the ballot. He has repeated again, 2023, a coup on the ballot. You can't survive this for far too many times. This time, no further. We've drawn a line in the sand. We will not allow you to abuse people. You are not the last Zimbabwean. You are not the only Zimbabwean. We are all Zimbabweans. We all count. We all matter. And we will make sure we take our stand and we defend democracy. Of course, as I have said, the next steps in the light of the above, it is clear that we are rejecting the election as a sham, the result. The process itself, we disregard it, and it's in line with what the SADC observers have said. We reject this sham result and flawed process based on the disputed figures. We have our V11s. I asked our team to bring those V11s. I'm not so sure if they're here so that you would see them. We've brought V11s from across the whole country, and those V11s are going to be the basis of our assertion. We have won this election. We are in the lead. We are even surprised why Mr. Mnangagwa has been declared, the leader, because he's not. From the V11s we are ahead. But if you look at the V23, Mr. Mnangagwa mysteriously and miraculously then declares a 52%, which is not backed by facts. Even if you look at other candidates who have then been given votes, it's because it has been engineered elsewhere. It's iron data, doctored data, man-made data that is not reflecting the reality of what the people have said on the ground. As far as we are concerned, a credible election must be declared and honored. A legitimate government and a legitimate president for everyone must be put in place and must be supported. Your vote must count. Because some will say, but how are we going to do this? We have 1 million tools at our disposal to achieve our end. We will not repeat the mistake of 2018. We want to make sure that we put finality and full stop to all these tomfoolery games. Enough of shenanigans, enough of these antics and tactics, and we want to start a new chapter of happiness, of progress, of prosperity in this country. My fellow citizens, do not worry. What you are seeing is the end. It's the beginning of the end. They may try to stop you. You are unstoppable. They may try to frustrate you. You are unfrustrable. Keep the hope. Freedom is coming. Change will happen. We serve a good God. That is his style. He comes in miracles. He will do it for us. I know there are others who are doubting, but the end is nigh. I encourage the Church of Zimbabwe, intercessors across the board, across the world, please pray for Zimbabwe as we go into these decisive steps to make sure that we fix our country and we restore democracy, legitimacy, peace, sanity, sanctity of human life, respect of each and every citizen. I ask you leaders, I ask you change champions, I ask you citizens, leaders in the various communities, to be vigilant, to ensure that together the voice of change rings loud. Your voice and your effort shall not be disregarded. We shall not allow that. Let us come together and defend our voice, defend our effort, defend our liberation ideals. One man, one vote. It must happen, it will happen. I ask you, as I ask, to know that our God has remembered us. Africa, do not leave us, particularly our fellow brothers and sisters in the region and on the continent. We count on your solidarity as we seek to resolve this political crisis, the emerging electoral crisis. I know God has remembered us. Help us in this remembrance in this last month. God bless you. God bless you. I thank you. I thank you, members of the press. I would have taken presence, but today I've just come to deliver a statement. And I thank you. Our press guys are going to take your presence. We are also available if you want to ask questions or clarification. We thank you. God bless you. The next step is that we are ready to form the next government on account of correcting all the errors that we have identified. We have the results and we are going to form that government. That is the next step.
And we embark on a diplomatic offensive to take your message across to.
We are on a peace offensive, we are on a diplomatic offensive, and we are going to take an offensive stance in a progressive and democratic manner to make sure that the voice of the people is respected and ultimately the voice of God reigns in this country. I think. Thank you.
Are you going to court?
All right. So there you have it, Zimbabwe. The CCC president, they're addressing the nation. Just to give you a brief of a summary of what has been said in that statement, if you're joining us right here on Zoom Daily, welcome once again. It's been a pleasure spending a couple of days with you guys just to give you a live account of what has transpired, what is transpiring in Zimbabwe. Just because you can see the members of the press there in Harare. One of the things that the president mentioned there, that's the CCC president, was they are currently struggling to find a venue where they can run these press conferences. Most of the venues they normally use for such press conferences are actually refusing to allow them to conduct them. You know, they were using hotels before, but the understanding now is they're not cooperating, or they've been told outrightly that they should not even accommodate the opposition to hold any of their press conferences. So that's why you see they are having their press conference at a private venue, as you can see, members of the press. This is probably someone's private property where they've just held their conference there. It is very important to note that the challenges that CCC have faced throughout this whole election are huge. This is not anything that anyone should take very lightly. Against all these challenges, it is a miracle that Chamisa is still standing even today. So the members of the press there in Harare, and we are just providing you a quick commentary. Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
Okay, Yvonne, who's on the ground for us.
Bye-bye for now.
All right, thank you, Yvonne. Bye-bye. Yeah, so we will be staying here just for a few more minutes. If you want to spend some time with us, you're more than welcome to stick around. We just want to provide a bit of commentary on what has just transpired. Welcome once again to Zimbabwe Daily here on a Sunday. Just that live press conference you've been listening to just now, President Nelson Chamisa giving a quick update there. He actually said that they've got a plan this time around. They have a clear plan to challenge this election. He is saying that they've got the regional support. As you probably heard from that preliminary report, the SADC and the AU have come out in support, or rather they are not happy with the way the elections have been done in Zimbabwe. So that's one of the biggest tool they have there to fight back. And number two, he also says that they've got the evidence, the V11s. We know many of you have been asking what's the next way forward. I think he is, from what the president has just said there, they have all the V11s across the whole election, or the ones that made at least to bring to court this time around. One other thing that also came out in the press conference is the fact that they are convinced the irregularities that a lot of people pointed out during the elections, like for example in some places in Manicaland, they had over 5,000 people that were assisted to vote, and this has never happened in the history of our elections. So they sincerely are convinced that this time around they can fight back. But it is what it is. We would like to hear your comments in case you're joining us. We'll be inviting a few of you, those that want to maybe come online, to give a bit of commentary on the statement that the president has just released there. He says this was a sham election and there is no truth in the results that were announced yesterday. So the plan going forward is to obviously use the constitutional means available to them to challenge this result. And this time around, the difference is obviously they have got regional support in SADC Observer Mission and the AU. They seem to be singing from the same hymn book. And we're just hoping that their biggest grenade there, which is the region and obviously AU, including the evidence they've collected, will be enough at least to mount a spirited challenge against this election. I'm going to be posting a link for those that are joining us. If you want to provide live commentary, we will not, obviously you don't have to come on the camera, but you can just click on the link that I've just shared in the chat there. And we want to also hear what you, Zimbabwe, what your thoughts are regarding the statement and the general elections. What do you think? I know there's a lot of a lot of you are disappointed, a lot of disappointment. The result that was announced yesterday is not what we were expecting. Just posted a link in the chat for those that might want to come live and provide their thoughts on that result that was announced, and also probably want to comment on the statement from the president there, President Nelson Chamisa, who is adamant that they have won this election and they are going to ensure that they reverse these results. Just click on the link that I've shared in the chat and we want to hear your thoughts. And please feel free to join us and let's discuss. I know most of you are probably feeling you are on your own and you do not see any way out of this. But you know, if we put our heads together as Zimbabweans and then at least encourage each other to say that it's not as gloomy as it looks. I think there, for those that are believers, you would know that we need hope in the midst of a storm. And if I can maybe borrow from what the Word of God says, I've already started receiving interest from the community. Those that want to take part, by all means, please feel free to follow the link. I'm going to share the link again. And we want to hear live commentary from you guys. I know we don't want you to ban in silence in your own homes. Let's discuss this thing together. I've got Knowledge Jousha here. Yes, Knowledge, can you hear me?
Yes, I do. How are you?
Yes, thanks for joining us. By the way, I'm gonna. Are you? Is your? Because I'm hearing myself. Do you mind if you can?
I do hear you. How are you?
Yes. No. Thanks for joining us. Let's hear your thoughts here. What do you think? What are you feeling right now?
I'm not feeling good. Firstly, I'm in a tragic condition. I don't know what I can say, but I'm not happy about what happened. I'm not even happy about the result. I'm not happy about everything happened in Zimbabwe. It's like everything was like against the CCC. They were all favoring ZANU-PF. Firstly, talking from experience, there were people forced to tell the presiding officers in Manicaland to tell them that they don't read and write, so that the presiding officers can put an X on their will. Like I don't want to expose where exactly, but it happened in Singapore. But people were told not to write on themselves, to tell the presiding officers that they don't know how to read and write, so that they will put an X on Mnangagwa.
All right. Yes, Knowledge. Yes. No. Thanks for your thoughts there. What do you think is the way forward? What should be done from here?
the way forward is just to fight for a victory. I think President Nelson Chamisa, he has something to do, like as he told us that he has got a way forward for us. I'm sure all the V-levels are in order, so that he's going to prove himself that he won the election. And we are going to support him in each way. And if possible, we do need a rerun, a free and fair rerun, which is going to be run by SADC, not ZANU.
Yes, that's an interesting point there you have made. I think I'm hearing myself. There's a bit of feedback. I don't know if you want to go on mute for a second as I try to fix this. Knowledge, do you mind maybe turning your microphone on for a second? Off.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
Yes, I was just saying if you can turn the microphone off so we can reduce the feedback.
No, it's okay.
All right. Yeah, so thank you very much there for taking time to join us. We're just trying to do a post-mortem of what happened yesterday, and we are inviting those that would love to come on this live stream if you want to maybe provide some commentary on what you think is the way forward. I think Knowledge was kind enough there to say that he personally witnessed some irregularities in some parts of the country, and he feels that ZEC is not the right body to be running elections in this country because of the bias. I think we mentioned this yesterday, that the whole commission is actually made up of family members of senior ZANU-PF officials. And this is one area that obviously raises a lot of concerns around the impartiality or the independence of such a body. So as with anything, we always go into things with the understanding or with the hope that we should not blame the rules or even the referee here. If we are winners, we are going to win anyhow. I think that's a good attitude to take whenever you approach anything. You do not look at the challenges, but you ensure that you focus on the prize that is ahead of us. Thank you, Zimbabwe, for joining us. Ngwanani maskati anas tripano pachirongwa chezim daily. We're going to try and run this live stream for a bit of time so we can all come here and at least pour out our feelings on how things, on what sort of feelings we have around what has transpired, especially the past few days. I know as Zimbabweans, we can talk, we can encourage each other, we can try and see what we can do together as a nation. So we've got a few of you that have also come on this stream to provide some commentary. Let me see if there's anyone else who can hear me here. Hello, let's see. There's someone called T. Hi T. Can you hear me?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Yes.
I can hear you loud and clear. I don't know on your end.
Yeah, please go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead with your comment.
Well, it's very unfortunate we are witnessing this shambolic election, especially this election result in our lovely country, Zimbabwe. Because basically, I mean, we can all attest to agree that this Zimbabwe election was not free and fair, and neither was the conduct from the ZANU-PF, especially ZEC, and mostly the ZRP, which is now operating under this name FAZ. They really undermined the credibility of any result that was announced, or maybe that will be announced by ZEC. So I don't know what is going to happen. We are just worried, and we cannot afford to have another 2008, because what is happening now is like a ticking time bomb. It seems like as if, you know, people are being compressed, and it will come a time when that balloon is just going to burst, and when that happens, you know, people will lose their patience, and everything will be all over the place, because you cannot imagine a scenario whereby you force yourself to to run a country where nobody really loves you, no one likes you, and there's no confidence whatsoever in every spectrum or in every sector of the country, rather. And it's very, very, very sad to witness such a situation. And the question now is, did ZEC announce the real results of the election, or it really announced the results that were cooked up by ZANU-PF? Because I'm sure we all saw the video and the live broadcast that was happening in HICC, where the justice minister, I don't know if that's the right term, that guy Ziambi went on the podium and even shook hands with the lady, the presiding lady, Achigumba. And that alone, it shows a bit of cohesion. It shows impartiality, because it seems like as if they are working in cohorts, they are together, planning something and cooking something, because you are actually celebrating a win with ZEC itself, and you go ahead as a justice minister, you take the papers of whatever that was being announced on that podium. It shows even the lady there was even coerced, or maybe speaking under duress, because I mean, honestly, witnessing that alone, I was like asking myself, what is going on here? What is happening in front of our eyes? And what are we to do as people? Are we just going to allow this slide and say, okay, we just accept this 54% that is being said here, and the 43% that we are being told was attained or obtained by the opposition party? Because it shows.
All right. Yes, Mr. T. Thanks for that.
Just one more thing, sorry, before you let me down.
Yeah, go on.
The only important aspect here, to show everything else is going to be a problem, is the lack of signature from the SADC. The SADC, I'm being told, they refused to endorse or to sign the papers that were presented by ZEC, and to actually endorse the election. And even also Chamisa and their agencies, they even denied to sign all those papers. And later on, we hear ZANU-PF, they went ahead and said, whether you sign it or not, we are simply going to announce. So, I mean, honestly, this is this is a sideshow, and this is something that is happening in front of our eyes. So we need to act.
Yes, Mr. T, I really would love you to stay on the stream. I'm just going to add a few people here, so we can.
No problem. Thanks for allowing me.
Yeah, please stay on the stream, please, for me. And I've got Nyaningwe here, Tendai, and Brian. Let me just try and make sure that we have a diversity of thought here. Yes, Nyaningwe, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
Yes, and thanks for joining. Let me just make sure that the other people that have joined the panel can also hear me. Yes, Brian, can you hear me? Yes, Brian? Tendai?
Hello, yes, I can hear you.
Yes,
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, so there is 4 of us here. So the panel, including myself, there's 5 of us. So we just want to try and see whether we can gauge the temperature amongst the general populace. And you guys, I'd like to presume you represent a diverse thought in terms of the way that you feel the election outcome has come out. I don't know if you guys were listening to Nelson Chamisa's press conference. Can we just maybe dissect that for a moment? What are your thoughts, Nyaningwe? The president came out there and obviously did share that they've got some tools within their arsenal that they're going to be using to fight back. What are your thoughts?
Actually, my thought, I don't know. Chamisa, my president, is my president. But the problem is, I think he's talking too much. And then the other things is sort of like he's publicizing some other things that he's going to do. I think it's just the truth to say some other things. So you tell your opponent that I'm going to do this. I think that's where he's having some counter. He's failing to do those things.
All right.
Because
Sense mafungire yenyu Mr. Nyaningwe. And ndezvipi zvinofanirwa kuitwa, because I know it's I mean talk is
because obviously ZANU-PF yakabira ma-results ndo the first thing. Manje yabira ma-results, pakubira kwakaita ma-results, time yaida kupa, I think they had an advantage yesterday kuti vataure ma-results because vakaona weakness imwe yavakaona zvazvataurwa naChamisa. Saka vabira kudaro vakaona kuti ngatichite sei tichitaura. And if you can see the position yavakaita kumundaraunda yaJoaquim Chisano vachimutora makamera kuti ataure kuti how were the elections, that one ku abuse munhu, sort of like they were forcing him kuti vawane chini, kuti vawane picture yekunzi izo ma-elections anga right, yet ma-elections anga si right because SADC yanga itomaramba kuti haasi right. Saka zvokuitika Chamisa zvandingangoti angoita nyaya dzemakoti, obviously they failed before, zvakafeila. Way forward kana zvadai so ndofunga pamwe ngasasiyana nazvo, tinongoramba tirimo. ZANU ichatadza kutonga because haungatongi vanhu vasingakude, munangagwa hadiwe muZimbabwe, and that one is for sure. Munangagwa negenga rake yaimbavha dzega dzega, saka manje havangambodi kusiya umbavha hwavanga vachiita because vanotya. I think ndo the other thing yavaitya.
All right. Yes. No, Tenda Skuru. Mr. Tenda, I don't know if you can hear me. If
Hello,
you can
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. What are your thoughts?
Let me first say I want to disagree with the previous speaker on the issue of Advocate Nelson Chamisa being talkative. And secondly, I would just want to say the issue of being proactive when it comes to this matter is something that we have to ponder over, because constitutionally you can't be proactive before the elections have been announced. So for President Nelson Chamisa to wait until the elections have been announced, then he gave his definitely his statement about it. That was the right thing to do, because according to the Constitution, firstly, you can't disclose, even if you do have the results yourself, before the ones that should address that issue, that is ZEC, you've done so. So they've done a good job that they were not supposed to release whatever evidence they have, even if they know that the result that they have does not tally with that ZEC do have. So kudos for the CCC for that. It's a good job for me. So then I would say, from my own point of view, I'm seeing that we are going the same way that we went last time, the Malaba way. But at the moment, I'm just eager to know more about what evidence do we have, because last time we went to the courts, we did not have enough evidence, so to speak, according to the court that we had in 2018. So I would just say, now we do have the evidence, then definitely we just need to go and stand for ourselves. So when President Nelson Chamisa perhaps is saying we should not stop uniting and being together, perhaps he's saying the evidence that we have can back up and we can prove to the court, of course, that we have won this election.
Yes, and
so
you brought a point, an interesting point earlier around the Malaba court being obviously an extension of ZANU-PF here. Do you foresee a situation where this time around, even with the right amount of evidence and compelling evidence, do you see them ruling otherwise?
Yeah, of course, as long there is evidence to whatever that happened, of course, We might say that the judiciary is captured, but at the same time, we don't want to be. We at the same time we also want to be optimistic, because this is the judiciary that the ZANU-PF is claiming that the judiciary is not captured. So that's what we should also have to try. We need to go to the courts and also try it and see it for ourselves as the citizens of Zimbabwe, whether the judiciary is captured or not, because we can't base our decisions on the last time that we had the court case, the 2018 one, because perhaps they say we don't have the valid evidence. But as they are saying and claiming that in this scenario, we do have the results and the results have been audited and we have everything in the plate, then I have that much confidence that this time we'll make it, and the courts of Zimbabwe will definitely rule according to the evidence that we have. And I also want to touch one thing that I also want to talk about, the issue of rural areas and the intimidation and so forth. It's something that we have evidence. We have some videos that are circulating. We have photos. We have a lot of things that have been happening. And because of social media, we have the capacity to make sure that we have all this evidence. This is the evidence that we also bring to the court when times come. This is part of the evidence to back us as citizens of Zimbabwe. So if we go to the courts, I'm 100% confident that this time we'll make it. So if they are going the court way, I am with them, and let's all of us, the citizens of Zimbabwe, let's trust the leadership and make sure that we unite, and being with them is going to be one of the best things that will make us to be successful in this thing that we want to do. If it's the court way, we are going to win it this time, regardless of whatever that we may think of judiciary to be captured.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tendai. If you're joining us, we are right here on Zim Daily and providing you a post-press conference commentary here for those that want to take part. We have shared a link in the chat if you want to be part of this panel, just to unpack the way that you feel regarding this whole election. And obviously the statement from Nelson Chamisa there, Mr. Tendai thinks that the court route is the only option or plausible option that we have here that will actually materialize into something meaningful. We have Mr. T and Nyaningwe here. We've also got someone who has just joined us on this panel. I think they've just come here with they're logged in with Zim Daily. I'm trying to unmute your microphone there, but if you want to be part of this panel, let's just spend a bit of time. I know most of us feel very shortchanged in the way this whole thing has panned out. We feel good tabiri rwanditi bastonjele even after zvese zvataita zvekuti some of you had to part with a lot of money for you to support the movement, and you feel kuti pane zvinhu zvaitika zvamusiri kubvumirana nazvo libona ukuthi into leyenzakale ngendlela elingavumelani layo. Andisifuna ukuthi sizwe yini ukuthi licabangani ukuthi ama-steps, what are the next steps from here. Mr. Tendai vatudza kuti ivo vanofungira kuti zvinofanirwa kuitwa ndezvekuti tine evidence. This time around we have enough compelling evidence to present to the courts. Let's hear from Mr. T. Mr. T, if you're still around, can I just ask you to provide a bit of commentary there regarding the evidence that we have?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? With the evidence that is available now at the moment, is in as far as voter tabulation is concerned, it is also a tool that we can use to tackle whatever result that ZEC and ZANU-PF brought forward. But the only challenge that is there is that the ZANU-PF already put up a statement that any V23 form that is there or that is going to come from CCC, they are not going to perhaps, can I say, recognize it, because they're saying everything that was supposed to be announced, everything that was supposed to be considered is what they have. So any other material that is going to come from the Triple C, they would disregard. But the only option, perhaps, that is there, considering what the previous speaker had just mentioned, is maybe to go to the courts. But the courts also, from our previous experience, they're not they're impartial. But with the pressure that is being brought by SADC this time around, we might be fortunate enough to have a different resolution and to have a different way forward, because I'm sure the approach from the CCC now, it might be different and it might bring about a different result. But all we need to do right now is pressure and to make sure that every other evidence that is there to prove there was fraudulent and they tampered with the V23 or they rigged the election. It really needs to be factual. It needs to be there. We don't want a scenario whereby you say we've got evidence, then when you're asked to submit the evidence, you start to dilly-dally and you start to appear as if you are lying, and it actually kills the spirit of the public to say, okay, fine, we are saying we are vouching for you, we are supporting you folks, but now we are now asking you to present whatever evidence that you are supposed to have. Then you turn around and say it's not enough, because we understand and we know that there are certain places in certain areas, especially on the councils, that were not represented by CCC. I'm sure those places they costed us a lot because they were uncontested. And there are so many, if I'm not mistaken, there were over 80 or so, if not 90, to be honest, that they were uncontested. But if you hear the CCC, they will tell you every area has been covered. If you ask them, okay, did we manage to deploy agents in every corner of the country? They will tell you, yes, absolutely. We managed to deploy every other persons that were available to make sure there were no the election was not to be rigged or whatever. But being on the ground, you then see some of the things that they'll be telling you it's not even true.
All right.
So
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, Mr. T.
there's a lot to be
Yes.
absorbed from everything that is coming from the CCC.
Right, and I think you make interesting points there. My only question is, obviously, Chuni Chindechevano, right? I think the mantra that Chuni Chevano is how Triple C views this. And being Chuni Chevano, are we outsourcing this to Triple C? Does it mean we have to wait and see what the leadership has in terms of evidence, or every citizen should be making an effort to gather the little that they can and be able to present it? Because I think as far as everyone is concerned, this is a decentralized way of doing things. So we're not centralizing power here. We have tried to decentralize it so that we could, you brighten the corner where you are, wherever you are, Chawabata. I think that's the biggest challenge that we have seen throughout the elections, that munhu wese arongoti ndakamirira leadership kuti indiudze kuti ndoita sei. Hapana munhu ari proactive enough kuti afunge kuti ndezvipi zvandingaite kugokwe to make sure kuti izvo election iyi haina kubiwa, kana pane chandabata chirege ndichitsvaga leadership kuti ndivape evidence yandinayo. Saka if we just outsource everything to them, we are not. And then
that's correct. What you've just mentioned is very, very important. That the question now is, are we just saying CCC has to act upon everything that is happening on the ground? Absolutely not. We as people, as the general populace of Zimbabwe, we are witnessing this, and we also have a role to play, and we are also supposed to support CCC and the president, because you believe in him exposed. Because at the end of the day, you come out public. You cannot come publicly and say, you guys go to the streets, do demonstrations, because that's what the ZANU-PF is waiting to hear and to see, so that they'll apprehend and so that they will act in a manner whereby everything, it's now, you will be all crippled, because we need a leader at the end of the day. And if that leader is now behind bars, is being arrested for inciting violence or whatever charge that they'll bring forward to say, we have dealt with Chamisa once and for all, with this, which is what we don't want. And he's very smart, and he's very alert, and I should say he knows what he's fighting with. He knows the type of tactics that the ZANU-PF uses. But from what the SADC Commission on their report, you could hear what the guy said, Nevas Mumba. He said, it's up to you Zimbabweans to act on everything that we have seen. So the task really, it's upon us, it's on us. We are the ones who are indebted to bring about a Zimbabwe that we want, because there's too much pressure really on the ends of CCC. There's certain things that they can do as a party, as an outfit, and there are certain things that they cannot do because they are a party. But as people, we also need to bring a revolution whereby we say, okay, fine, enough is enough. We have had this year in, year out. 2002 was close enough for us to have change. 2008 was close enough to have change, but there were atrocities. People were killed, people were short-sleeved or whatever. 2013, it came about, it was rigged. 2023, the same situation. So it's a repeat of everything that we are witnessing. I was listening to Xavier Kasukuere this afternoon, and he was being asked, you were part of this government, and why is it this time around you are saying, and you are coming out saying you want change in Zimbabwe, and you have got good wishes for the country, when you're part of the system? And what is different now? But he said, no, look, from what has been happening during the tenure of Robert Mugabe, it seems like it has quadrupled. I don't know if there's any word like that, but it is like multiplied in terms of velocities, whereby there are certain things that were happening in this tenure which have multiplied, and now it's even worse, because we are now dealing with a regime which is using the military to act or to deal with the people of Zimbabwe. Saka, we are in a situation right now for us to raise our voice, to do or to act against the government. It's very, very tricky, because we are going to witness bloodshed. I don't think that's what CCC wants.
Yes. No, thanks, Mr. T. Can I ask you to stay on the line? I think we've got a few more people that have joined the panel. We want to hear from the ladies. I've got Mike Kim here. Mike Kim.
Yes.
Please go ahead. Let's hear from you.
Okay, Maita yenyu. Inini first question yenyu that you have asked is Murukunzwa say. Inini honestly ndrukurwadziwa. I feel cheated. I feel betrayed by the ZEC and ZANU-PF. I was hopeful because I have seen people coming in all their numbers, putting their efforts on social media, even on the ground. People tried their level best, and I was very much hopeful that this time we were going to win this election. Unfortunately, it is what it is. They have stolen the vote from us. But I'm just hoping that our leaders are working flat out. I know a lot of people are now saying we should not look only up to our leaders, we should also do something. But I feel one way or the other, we look up to them. We are saying quite a lot of things. From what we are saying, they'll pick 1, 2, 3 things and then, put it on the ground, make it materialize, so that at the end of the day, maybe we can get back our vote. I am devastated right now. I was hopeful. I am a mother. I have children. And I was hoping that at least the future of my children is guaranteed.
Right.
I was hoping that maybe we were going to have, people coming back from as far as Europe to invest in our country, to develop our country, but nobody is going to come back. Those people who were hoping that they would come, they are not going to come because they know it's the same government that's there, and it will not change anything in our country. Honestly, I'm devastated.
All right.
At the
Thank
same
you.
time,
Yeah, thanks, Mike Kim. Are you actually on the ground in Zimbabwe, or you are based outside?
I am in Zimbabwe.
All right. Okay. No, you don't have to say the location. I just wanted to get a feel of where you are. And I know it's devastating, to say the least. What we're witnessing, like you rightfully said, could the moment there is no hope.
Yeah, there is somebody who said the president is talking too much. I feel it's good. We need that word of encouragement, insurance from our leader, that at least they are working on something, they are doing something up there. Because us, the mass, there's nothing we can do. Honestly, we are afraid that even if we start going out there, they'll come and attack us. We know the system, we know the government, we know them. They will come after us. So let the leaders speak for us. That's what I think. They should speak for us. We are giving them ideas. They know what to pick and what to leave. And at the end of the day, they'll speak for us. That's why they are our leaders.
Amen. Thank you very much, Mike Kim. We appreciate, obviously, to hear from mothers. It is very, very important for us to have that diversity of thought in this platform. I appreciate your comment there. And I just wanted to see if we can, there's quite a few of you also that want to take part, and we want to hear from as many as we can. If you would like to stay on the stream, Mike Kim, you're more than free to. I will probably make reference to you again in a short while, but let's hear what others also are thinking about all this. We have got Brian. I know, Brian, you did join earlier and you got disconnected. Yeah, please go ahead, Brian.
All right. I think they are needed. As Zimbabweans, we have to come together and have these kind of conversations, because they help us in a way. It helps us a lot. So I just want to talk about the elections. They went very well. They went very well, and Nelson Chamisa, he won the elections. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, Brian. Go ahead.
Okay. Nelson Chamisa won these elections, but I have other issues that I just want to put on these kind of elections that were happening in Zimbabwe, because I'm based here in South Africa, but I normally come here to Zimbabwe because I do have family there. So the issue that was happening during the election is the ruling party. They know that these elections, we're gonna do these elections just formally, but they're not gonna allow the result. Nelson Chamisa won the elections, so they are doing in a way they won't allow anyone to take over, because remember, the current government, they have so many deals with different countries. If you still recall, they have deals with Belarus and all that. If a new leader comes in, the new leader might undo all those. So they don't allow any results. So the solution here lies on Zimbabwean citizens to say, let's come together, let's support Nelson Chamisa, violence is not good, yes, but like what's needed is like people, they have to come together to form a way of I don't know what can I put, because courts won't even bring any solution because they are still protecting their own interests, so they don't even like listen, or sometimes any outcome is going to come through those courts and all that. It's going to be a mere waste of time. So what is needed is like all together, everyone must come together and try to express in a form of demonstrations. I think that's going to work.
Right. Yes. Thanks, Mr. Brian. There, and I think we do appreciate your comment there. Obviously, we're trying to gather as much as we can in terms of the feelings amongst the citizens of Zimbabwe across the globe. And you're based in South Africa, and you feel that pursuing this in the courts is going to lead to nothing.
Yes, it's gonna lead to nothing because, like, if you look on them, it's like the and then and that's what Chamisa, he won elections, but like they're not gonna allow anyone to come in because this current government, they have so many deals. They dealing with other countries. They dealing with other like personal interests. In fact, they don't care about like the citizens. So they won't allow anyone to come in because you're going to undo all those. So this is a regime that is not going to change or changed by the courts or by whatever. But what is needed is like the citizens. They have to come together. We have to come together. In fact, like I have to not to single out myself. We have to come together, and then we have to face this thing. Otherwise, nothing is going to change, and nothing is going to happen. We're going to have same situation 2018.
All right. Yes, Mr. Brian. Thanks for your comment. I just want to see if I can bring more people. If you can maybe disengage, and so we can hear from a few more right here. Let me just read some of the comments we're receiving here from Facebook. They're saying that problem tirikuda kunzwisira tsitsi munhu asina hanya nevanhu zvingani rwirwa neZANU-PF this year chete vangani vafa because of ZANU-PF kana iri noise ngaite not kuti hanzi he what nguva iri kufamba muchiti come together iri kudiwa apa ndeye noise chete full stop because dai vari ivo vanhu vezano vadyiwa dai vaita noise kare ipapa chimbomira itsitsi dzisina basa. Yeah, that's a comment there. I think we need to definitely ensure that whatever we are discussing here is we don't want to plan anything outside what the law permits. If you feel that you want to make noise, just make sure that you at least keep it within the confines of the law, right? You are allowed to make noise. Yes, definitely. I think the Constitution has those provisions for us as Zimbabweans to go out in the streets and protest. That's a given right, and obviously within what the law permits. But being, in as much as we understand that we're dealing with vultures here, these are people that don't respect even the rules that they set themselves. Like, for example, I think Mr. T mentioned that we are not allowed to announce the results before ZEC. But ZANU-PF, I mean, Patrick Chinamasa and whoever actually called for a press conference, and they were giving figures saying that they've won, and nothing happens to them, right? If the same thing had happened with CCC, I can tell you that the police would have pounced they would have pounced on them like no other. So we definitely have a skewed justice system in our country. It's said that we cannot do much about it. They just are a law unto themselves. That's one of the challenges that we face. But the one thing that I can encourage us as a country is never to give up. In fact, we should not even tolerate any negative energy coming from anywhere. You know, people saying we've tried everything. I think it's just time for us to give up. The worst thing that we can ever do is to allow the enemy to think that we're giving up. In fact, that's what fuels them. You know, you're giving energy to someone that keeps on doing bad things, and once they notice that there are some cracks in your ranks, that's all they want. And these are people that have been at this for some time, and the moment we start showing cracks, that's why we are trying to encourage people on our Facebook pages and in all our socials that we cannot tolerate disunity. You know, if you are giving up, it means you were never part of the struggle in the first place. You were not a genuine soldier. So what we are saying is, do not give up. If you have if you're going to say something, at least say something to encourage people. You know, this thing of coming on socials and say, oh, we've done this and blah 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 blah, at least keep that to yourself. Some of us, we work on positive energy. We want to hear good things. You know, when you tell us that there is no one who's perfect here, Nelson Chamisa is not perfect, none of us are, but this is the only foot that we have forward. Now if we then spend all our energy trying to bring down that only foot that we have forward, we're not doing justice to ourselves. So we want to encourage you, Zimbabwe. ZANU-PF is not the solution. I'm sorry to say this. We need change, and the best foot that we have forward is Nelson Chamisa. It's not even Kasukuwere or any other person out there. That's why we were so much against the candidature of Kasukuwere. I don't care who he is or whether he was going to split ZANU-PF vote. That's not my concern. I just want someone that has got the best chances of winning, you know. And we can't, I mean, someone like Kasukuwere was not even on the ground. I've got no personal feelings against him, but it's I mean, it's foolhardy to even think that someone like who's going to run his campaign from South Africa is going to put a dent on anything. If anything, he was going to deny the votes that would have gone to Chamisa. That has always been our position, but that's an argument for another day. But let's hear from others. I appreciate that. Tendai, I don't know if you're still here. Let me give you a chance to say something before we add someone else. Tendai, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes. Do you want to just add a few words? I just want to invite a few more people to contribute. I can see you, Innocent, Kudziz, Zenda, and Sedzai, and Kefas. You guys just stay put. We will put you on the panel in the next few minutes. Go ahead, my friend.
Okay, let me just give my final remarks so that I can give others also a chance to contribute. So this is what I want to say. I want to say, I'm not sure if I'm wrong, but constitutionally, I think if elections took place and they did not go the way that you want, and a stakeholder in the election just think maybe the elections are not free and fair, the only first thing that they can do, they can oppose this through the court. So the issue of people perhaps going to participate in protesting and demonstrations, I think it's something that will come after the courts, according to the Constitution. That's what I think. And also at the same time, I'll tell you that it will be very difficult for individuals to just start on their own without waiting for leadership, because it will be very dangerous for them. The president already have been declared and said is the one that is duly elected from effect of yesterday, the 26th. So he have got the powers to do anything that he can do. He can deploy people to do whatever he can do to intimidate people. You see, that's the problem we have when the issue of leadership, waiting for leadership. A lot of people, they're asking, why are you waiting for leadership? We are people who can go out and we can do it as citizens. But the problem is you can be intimidated and no one is going to stand for you. Then the other speaker also said that ZANU-PF is not going to recognize the V23 forms and so forth and so forth. They said if CCC bring the V23, they're not going to recognize it because that's not right. Can you hear me?
Right. And can I just ask you to maybe break it down for us here, because I know there's been a lot of us understand what a V11 is. Do you want to maybe explain to the audience what a V23 is, just for the sake of those that might not be aware?
No, I won't be able to break it down. I won't be able to break it down, unfortunately. But what I just want to emphasize on the issue of V23 is that the V23, the ones that will only say they can't recognize it, it's not ZANU-PF. That much I'm 100% sure with that.
So what is
only
meant to be on a V23 anyway? What sort of information do you find there?
Definitely, the V23 will be telling you about the wards, perhaps the wards, the people that have been voting maybe from the wards, because it comes from the wards, from wards going to constituencies, from constituencies it goes to provincial, and then it goes on like that. So I think that's the division. From someone who have explained it, also who break it down, who understand it much better. That's exactly how it is. The breakdown. So it's like we have something in food, then we have to break it down. So it's like V11 just half, then V23 is going deeper into exactly. It's like a more detailed of everything from what going up like that. So only the court can dismiss that as evidence, not ZANU-PF. So we can't say that if they say on their press conference, we are going to dismiss that V23 is not an evidence. They don't have right to dismiss that. It only left with the court itself. So that's what I wanted to say. Then in landing, in finishing, I would just say the other speaker also said the elections went well, but Nelson Chamisa won. No, the elections did not went well when the ballot box came 12 hours after 7 o'clock, when the election should commence. You see what I mean? So the elections were flawed, and I think the only way we can wait for now is going through the courts. Then we can see what we can do afterwards. But at the same time, let's listen to our leadership. Our leadership is very important. Thank you so much.
Yes, thanks. Thank you very much, Tendai. Thank you for your comment. I think just to reiterate to what Tendai is saying there, you are not going to be able to kunonzi kuraya inda. You need we need collective effort to be able to achieve something. I think that's the main point that you're making here. This thing we're hearing, that we can start our small resistance groups wherever we are. I think anything that you are going to do, of course, within the confines of the law, needs leadership, and that's where that's the point that Tendai is making there. And we want to thank you once again for joining us here on Zim Daily. We just want to do a post-mortem of what has transpired the past few days. We are looking at the election results yesterday, the statement that Nelson Chamisa came out to give just a few minutes ago, and also we are also trying to look at what happened last week in terms of the actual voting experience. If you think you have something to add, I know Wamambo and Innocent, you guys, go ahead.
It's Tia. Well, I just wanted to elaborate or probably try and break down the question that you have alluded to earlier on the V11 and probably the V23 forms that we have in Zimbabwe. Since they are the forms that are very, very much used in our electorate process in our nation. So I'm sure so many people, they don't really understand how and what are these things in as far as our elections are concerned. So to everyone who doesn't really know what the V11 form is, it is basically an original document which carries results from polling station to polling station, and usually it is signed by agents, those agents that were deployed by, whether it's CCC, whether it's ZANU-PF, or whatever. So everyone who is contesting in that particular form or way in that ward is put on those forms. So after signing of the V11 form, every information is then recorded on the V23 form, which is also a collection of polling station results within a ward. So these forms, they show a result, or maybe presidential, National Assembly, council elections, which will be then be forwarded to the National Command Center, where official results are then announced. So basically, these are the two difference between the V11 form and the V23 form. When then it gets to the command center with the stamp and signatures of witnesses that say, the result that is on paper is true and is compiled, and we have agreed it is correct. So thank you.
All right. Yes. Thanks, Mr. T, for that response. I think we've got an HD recorded video of the statement that the president made earlier. We've just managed to compile it, and we will be bringing it to you for those that missed that statement from Nelson Chamisa. I'm just coordinating with our guys on the ground to cross over to that stream. Let me just wait. If I don't know if Yvonne, can you hear me? We just need to take a few minutes to go to that stream.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes. Do you want to take over, please, and run that stream for us, if that's okay?
Not a problem. Thank you.
All right. So for those that are joining us, we are just going to, and if in case you missed the statement that Chamisa gave just a few moments ago, we have a recorded copy in HD format that we're going to run for the next few minutes, and then we can come back to the discussions. Do not move. We just need to spend the rest of the afternoon at it trying to gauge the general temperature within the community to what are you feeling? What are you feeling? So Yvonne, I'm going to pass this over to you, and then we can come back, okay?
All right, thank you.
Zimbabweans, you voted, and you voted overwhelmingly for change, even against all odds. Something that has never happened in the history of our country, that you are forced to embark on night vigils as you wait to cast your vote. But I would like to thank all of you, citizens of Zimbabwe and the citizens of the world, particularly the citizens of Zimbabwe. You showed resilience, patience, commitment, and calmness, even in the face of unparalleled provocation. I'd like to thank the many Zimbabweans who sacrificed a lot in resources, particularly from the diaspora, South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, and from across the whole world, to just come and cast your vote. You carried this campaign. Colleagues in the diaspora were and continue to be the source of our funding. You carried our budget, and we're so proud that you provided the resources for the polling agents, for the polling processes, and even for our own campaign. Thank you for your commitment. Fellow citizens and citizens of the world, we stand here in the aftermath of a highly contested election, of an election that poll observers from across the board, all observer missions without exception, have rightly described as an election that is so damaged in reputation and that is so fraudulent in characterization, that falls short beneath the requirements of the Zimbabwean Constitution, the electoral laws, and the guidelines of our regional, continental, and global bodies. However, despite all these obstacles and impediments, these abuses, this election also unleashed a wonderful moment, a surge in resilience and hope from you, the Zimbabwean people. Some of you walked for dozens of kilometers. Some of you waited outside the polling stations for dozens of hours, and often without food or water. Some of you braved illegal intimidation and threats that no free person should have been subjected to or could endure. I also want to particularly note that one Zimbabwean died in the queue as he waited to vote in Warren Park. May his soul rest in peace. I honor that legend. It must never happen in a proper democracy that a person would perish on account of wishing and wanting to exercise their vote. But guess what? You endured, particularly in Harare, in Bulawayo, and in Manicaland, areas and regions that are perceived to be our strongholds. Voting was suppressed. They didn't want you to vote. In the rural areas where they were voting, they were forcing them and intimidating them, commanding them to vote for ZANU-PF or face death. That command voting is illegal. That command voting shall be challenged. I can tell you of Nyanga North, where you had over 3,500 assisted voters. That has never happened. ZANU-PF had their own primary elections. There was not a single assisted voter in that primary election. And guess what? 5,000 people voted. Now, over 15,000 people voting, but 3,500 assisted voters. Why are they assisted voters? Because they were forced to say, go and tell those who are conducting the polling that you are not able to read or write and you can't vote for yourself, so that we vote for you. We don't trust you. Those votes are votes that would ordinarily have gone to the alternative. Must say in a nutshell, what I've said, ladies and gentlemen, the election process in Zimbabwe was shamelessly flawed, violated the Constitution of Zimbabwe, as well as the electoral laws of our republic. There was therefore an illegality and criminality in the conduct of ZEC and all the polling officers and officials that were involved. The election process was fraught with unprecedented illegalities, irregularities, and encyclopedic opaqueness and forces of darkness, particularly FAS, which has become a spooky, ghosty, and shadowy organization that takes instructions from those spooky headquarters. The election process itself fell far short of the SADC guidelines on elections and international electoral guidelines. And you know that this was a pronouncement of the observer missions, and we concur with that observation. Notwithstanding all this, you voted for a president of your choice. You voted for your representatives of your choice at parliamentary level and at council level. And I want to thank you and congratulate you for that resilience, particularly across the whole country, especially in the urban areas and in the rural areas. There are people who are so courageous. They stood and they were able to stand toe-to-toe to the intimidation of us and other institutions like ZANU-PF, the terrorist organization, to be able to cast their vote. It was like a war zone. It was like a situation where they have to brave it, particularly in circumstances of intimidation and terror. Let me say that the Electoral Board, ZEC, regrettably and once again, failed to perform its constitutional mandate by not announcing the correct and the accurate results. Notwithstanding the flaws of the election, genuine results should have been announced. And we have the genuine result because we are working on the V11s, but they used the V23, and the result from the V23 is not tallying with the results on the V11s, particularly for the president, showing you that it was a doctored, it was an iron data configured by FAS, because the results from the polling station were transmitted to the FAS headquarters via the presiding officer. And this is common cause. And that became our biggest problem. And I've listened, I've watched. Some people are saying, well, there are no V11s. V11s are there. We deployed across the whole country. We were sufficiently represented, even though some of our polling agents were chased away, intimidated, and violated, particularly in Mashonaland Central and Mashonaland East, because those are terror zones where people don't exercise their vote. In fact, in Mashonaland Central, I was getting testimonies that people were saying, we did not vote. It was not an election. It was a coercion. So we are still waiting for an election. This one, we're just coerced to vote for ZANU-PF. So it is important that whoever is to sit on the throne of government in this country is aligned in legitimacy. And this can only be achieved through respecting what the people voted for, even in an unfree and unfair election such as this one. But more importantly, we want to resolve permanently, comprehensively, and eloquently the problem of disputed elections in Zimbabwe. Until we resolve this issue, we will continue to have a cycle, a vicious cycle of disputed elections. But for us to be able to move forward, we need to find a permanent answer to electoral reforms going forward, so that elections mean peace. Elections mean credibility. Elections mean legitimacy. As we speak, elections mean war. Elections mean intimidation. That cannot be a civilized affair. That cannot be a civilized expectation. We went into this election conscious of the electoral environment process, particularly the flawed nature of our electoral process. And we're very fine with that. We made a conscious decision. We knew that we're going into a flawed process. We're jumping into a sewer pond, and we knew that we would not come out there without smelling. Yes, we are smelling, but we never budgeted for this kind of smell that we have taken, particularly the announcement of a false result. We had a flawed voter registration process, a flawed delimitation process, we had a flawed nomination process, the double candidates and the first concept, we had a flawed voters' roll. We also had a flawed adherence to the law in terms of affixing the voters' roll onto a polling station. We went into the election without all those. We had a flawed ballot. We had a flawed printing of the ballot paper. Can you imagine people waiting to cast their ballot and they're being told that the ballot paper is being printed, it's in the printing press, and wait for it. As it comes, it's still hot. You're supposed to vote. It has never happened. It shows you how shambolic the process was. It was a flawed electoral environment. There was a flawed electoral environment in the sense that there was widespread, particularly in the urban areas, in some parts of the rural areas, widespread suppression of the vote, inflation of the vote, manipulation of the vote, but in rural areas, widespread intimidation of the voters. Why would you need a poll survey at a polling station on a polling day? To do what? To ask what question? But it tells you that we have people who are bizarre, who do not believe in choice and the dignity of the people. They believe in dehumanizing others. And that is an issue to be challenged. And I must say, despite all this, given the assurance that we got from ZEC, we have seen that the election process itself has not passed the test of constitutionality, legality, and legitimacy. You are aware that on the 23rd of August, some people were not allowed to vote. And Harare ended up having a deficit of about 700,000 voters who did not participate in voting. It's legendary. It's almost half of the voters who did not participate. In the rural areas, I've told you about FAS, which is a spooky and bogus outfit created to terrorize, threaten, and intimidate people, even interfered with the electoral process, including the printing of millions of full-color print flyers that were dissuading people from voting on the day in question, allegedly and purportedly having been authored by myself. But again, that propaganda shows you that those who authored it knew what they were trying to do, because you must then marry it to the issue of ballot papers which were not delivered in time, particularly for the local authorities, because they did not want people to exercise their vote. Now, let me say, having said this, what are the next steps? What should the nation expect? There is going to be change in Zimbabwe. Whether ZANU-PF people want it or not, it's not going to be easy, but there shall be change. We will not wait for 5 years. There has to be change now. And we are going to lead in making sure that change comes to Zimbabwe. We put a full stop to this madness. Whatever it takes, we must provide leadership. Mr. Mnangagwa knows that he has performed a coup since 2008, a coup on the ballot, 2017, a coup on the elected leader, 2018, a coup on the ballot. He has repeated again, 2023, a coup on the ballot. You can't survive this for far too many times. This time, no further. We've drawn a line in the sand. We will not allow you to abuse people. You are not the last Zimbabwean. You are not the only Zimbabwean. We are all Zimbabweans. We all count. We all matter. And we'll make sure we take our stand and we defend democracy. Of course, as I have said, the next steps in the light of the above, it is clear that we are rejecting the election as a sham, the result. The process itself, we disregard it, and it's in line with what the SADC observers have said. We reject this sham result and flawed process based on the disputed figures. We have our V11s. I'd asked our teams to bring those V11s. I'm not so sure if they're here so that you would see them. We have brought V11s from across the whole country, and those V11s are going to be the basis of our assertion. We have won this election. We are in the lead. We are even surprised why Mr. Mnangagwa has been declared, the leader, because he's not. From the V11s we are ahead. But if you look at the V23, Mr. Mnangagwa mysteriously and miraculously then declares a 52%, which is not backed by facts. Even if you look at other candidates who have then been given votes, it's because it has been engineered elsewhere. It's iron data, doctored data, man-made data that is not reflecting the reality of what the people have said on the ground. As far as we are concerned, a credible election must be declared and honored. A legitimate government and a legitimate president for everyone must be put in place and must be supported. Your vote must count. Of course, some will say, but how are we going to do this? We have 1 million tools at our disposal to achieve our end. We will not repeat the mistake of 2018. We want to make sure that we put finality and full stop to all these tomfoolery games. Enough of shenanigans, enough of these antics and tactics, and we want to start a new chapter of happiness, of progress, of prosperity in this country. My fellow citizens, do not worry. What you are seeing is the end, is the beginning of the end. They may try to stop you, you are unstoppable. They may try to frustrate you, you are unfrustratable. Keep the hope. Freedom is coming. Change will happen. We serve a good God. That is his style. He comes in miracles. He will do it for us. I know there are others who are doubting, but the end is nigh. I encourage the Church of Zimbabwe, intercessors across the board, across the world, please pray for Zimbabwe as we go into these decisive steps to make sure that we fix aright our country and we restore democracy, legitimacy, peace, sanity, sanctity of human life, respect of each and every citizen. I ask you leaders, I ask you change champions, I ask you citizens, leaders in the various communities to be vigilant, to ensure that together the voice of change rings loud. Your voice and your effort shall not be disregarded. We shall not allow that. Let us come together and defend our voice, defend our efforts, defend our liberation ideals. One man, one vote. It must happen, it will happen. I ask you, as I ask, to know that our God has remembered us. Africa, do not leave us, particularly our fellow brothers and sisters in the region and on the continent. We count on your solidarity as we seek to resolve this political crisis, the emerging electoral crisis. I know God has remembered us. Help us in this remembrance and this last March. God bless you. God bless Zimbabwe. I thank you. I thank you, members of the press. I would have taken questions, but today I had just come to deliver a statement. And I thank you. Our press guys are going to take your questions. We are also available if you want to ask questions for clarification. We thank you. God bless you.
In short, what's the next step for you?
The next step is that we are ready to form the next government on account of correcting all the errors that we have identified. We have the results and we are going to form that government. That is the next step.
Again, back on a diplomatic offensive to take your message across to...
We are on a peace offensive, we are on a diplomatic offensive, and we are going to take an offensive stance in a progressive and democratic manner to make sure that the voice of the people is respected and ultimately the voice of God reigns in this country. I thank you.
Are you going to court?
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Are you going to court?
Right, so that's the video. Muna, I hand over back to you.
All right. Yes. Thanks, Yvonne, for that. Was the recorded statement there given by the CCC President Nelson Chamisa. It's just commenting on the results that were announced yesterday and the next steps that they have as an organization going forward. I think if you are joining us, we're just going to spend a few minutes here just to dissect and try and give a post-mortem commentary to that address. What are your thoughts on the ways that have been suggested going forward? What do you think Zimbabwe should be doing in the aftermath of what has just happened. We were so much in anticipation of a new government, but this is not looking to be the direction that this is going. I've got a few guys that have joined me here just to try and provide a bit of commentary here. We've got Wamambo Kudzi and Sesedzai. Wamambo, can you hear me? All right. I just want to make sure that we can also hear from as many as we can from the community, from those that are listening to us right now. If you think you want to comment or even provide a solution or a way forward, we want to hear from you. Kudzi and Wamambo and Sesedzai, I've just put you on the stream. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
How's it, my guy?
Yes. Do you want to go ahead, please? Yeah.
Yes. Chekutanga ndingangoti I'm very, very disappointed. All right. Tatakatarisira Chamisa ndo yanga iri hope yedu. And ndo hope yedu na manje. It's sad, man. It's a shame. Kutakabirwa zviri pachena, zvinooneka zviri pachena. Even mamwe makandries ari kuzoona kuti pakabirwa hapana sarudzo dzanga dzisiri dzejekerere. Vanhu vaimbunyikidzwa, kudzoredza vanhu dzakambunyikidzwa.
Right. Saka murufungidzo kuti ndezvipi zvingaitwe manje manzwa president vachitaura kuti vane zvavakaronga and in a very peaceful and democratic way to fight back. What do you think should be done?
I don't think kuti koti inobudirira because koti makamunzwa munanga agwa achitaura pachena kuti we are the people, we are the government, we are the army, we are the ZEC, we are what. So I don't think kuti koti inobudirira because they are everywhere. So what I think, I know it will be very, very tough for everyone, but what I think chingango budirira is, just peaceful demonstration. I know they will vachasunga vanhu, vachapfura vanhu, vachata say, but that is the only way to reclaim our victory. But for now, koti handifungi kuti inobudirira. Handifungi kuti koti inobudirira. Ndomaonera ndiri kuita.
Right. Thank you very much for your comment there. Muri kufungidzira imwe kuti kuenda kukoti kutambisa nguva.
Kutambisa time.
Yes. Asi
because
option yamunayo ndeyekuti vanhu vaende mumastreets anditi ndo zvamuri kuti
ngatingoende mumastreets. Ngatingoende mumastreet tovaratidza kuti hatisi kufara. Zvirimo mubumbiro remutemo, kodzero yedu kuenda mumastreet kana tisina kufara.
Saka makangomirira kuti leadership itaure kuti uyaiti ungane
chokwadi chiripo ka. At this point I don't think it's about Nelson Chamisa or anyone. It's about us sema-Zimbabweans. Ngatingobata nayi tongoende imustreet ndo zviripo. Kana ivo vasingakwanisewo kuti kutinzwa kuti we don't want this, azvimani zvafana nemusikana aungamubatire pfuti iwewe kuti ndikuda kuti danani. Kana asingakude haakude, aumubunyikidzire, and haisi relationship yokuti ungamubunyikidzira and imba yacho inenge isina mufaro because wakamubunyikidzira, wakamumanikidza kuti ngatidanane. Zvimwe chete zvino zviri kuitika pari zvino.
Right.
Go ahead.
Could ndibvunze one of the biggest setbacks, especially on the opposition side of things, is the fact that the ANC is sounding as if it is okay with what has happened in Zimbabwe. I think Fikile, Mbalule, and we haven't heard, obviously, from Cyril Ramaphosa, but the ANC Secretary General seems to be one of ZANU-PF's strongest supporters, and he has endorsed the results.
Rega ndikubate murume papo. Munhu anoziva nhamo ari mairi. Asiri mairi haambofa akainzwisisa kuti mune nhamo mbo. So obviously they
won't understand. Because Fikile obviously understands the implications of these elections and Zimbabwe, I mean, South Africa, right now, kune issue ya immigration yekuti Zimbabweans are flocking into South Africa. We've got millions of them in that country, and he definitely understands kuti, and unless if he's taking his hand in the sand here, we know kuti the political situation in Zimbabwe's contribution to the immigration disaster they have in South Africa. Why do you think kuti he still supports ZANU-PF regardless?
Iritimiri, my sisters. So obviously zvaronga mumwe ndozvaanoita zvakafanana nematwins anongotedzerana. Chero ukaita sei anongotedzerana, akada kupfeka hembe black nhasi anototi naniwo ndikuda hembe black.
Yes, saka hana basa
havana basa nekuti chii chichazoitika. Havana zviri pachina ndezvekuti havana basa nemararamiro emaZimbabweans. Hapana munhu ane hanya nemaZimbabweans, especially vanhu vekunze. I was shocked pandakanzwa anonzi SADC vachichaura kuti hatina kufara nema-election. It was like kekutanga katakanzwa SADC ichimira nesu. But pesava hapana yambomira nesu.
Chandoda kunzwisa mafungiro aMbalule, Fikile Mbalule is what I'm struggling to come to terms with here. What drives him? Because honestly, I mean, but do you think it is compromised in the sense that ZANU-PF might be, I don't know, envelope Yekaki or something like that? Because I cannot understand the rationale behind the support that he's giving to ZANU-PF.
I think, like I told you, one big relationship with these guys. So obviously they will support each other. Whether we are happy or not, they will support each other. Pane they will still going ahead and support each other.
All right. Mr. Wamambo Kudzia, what I started and
I'm Kudzi.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Kudzi. I appreciate your contribution there. We've just had two people join us here, Muchara Ngwanda and Sesedzai and Wamambo. If you can hear me, please come through.
Yeah,
the
Wamambo.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, inangu zvanada kutaura ndezvekuti nyaya dzemakoti idzi tungoda kuzama hedu kuroimbwa takaviga mupinyu asi hapana chinobuda. Kuzi mukatarisa speech yakatagwa nemaSADC observers, vakazoipindura vacho haisizeki. They are the likes of Chris Mutsvangwa and Ziyambi. Varivo vanhu vezanu. Saka tada kuzama kuda kuti titi kukoti ka tungozama hedu kuda kutsvaka zvinhu sipo, but hazviiti. Only way yatingakwanisa kuita ndekungoita peaceful demonstration chete. Otherwise zvikoti izvi hakuna nyaya.
But munoona here vanhu vachibuda inini, I don't want to sound pessimistic here. I'm 100% behind any action that Zimbabweans decide on this. Munoona here vanhu vachibuda.
Kuta chokwadika isu semaZimbabweans fear iripo. Saka tikada kutarisa zvakaitika muna August paya 2018 zvitova zvinhu zvakainstalla fear, because isusu we have the right sevanhu vemacitizens kuti we have the right to demonstrate kana pane chaitika, but ike zvino hatichademonstrate because there will be use of live ammunition inenge ishandiswa nemasoja edu acho anofanira kutiprotecta, but ndo anenge achita against macitizens. Saka kuti tinodemonstrate kwacho hatichakwanisi futi. Saka zvese saka these guys vanhu vezana vari kungoita zvinhu deliberately because they know kuti mukada kuzama kudemonstrata vachakurovai, mukada kuzama kudii vachakurovai. Saka hapana kwatiri kuenda. Hapana kwatiri kuenda.
Kwatiri kubva ndo kwatiri kuenda kana kuti patiri ndo
tichikoni vanhu hari. Hatisati tambova any further step yekuti tinganzi tikuita zvakati.
Yes. All right. Yes, takangomirira kuti tinzwe kuti SADC ichati chii. Obviously the way what SADC is going to say ne-AU as their final report. I don't know what report yawe the final one kuti ichabuda rini. But ikangobuda isina kunyatsomira zvakanaka. I think what will most likely happen is the report ichaenda kuna Mr. Hichilema, who is the chairperson of the organ for politics and security. I think it's a 1-year term that they rotate. Ndiye acha presented a report here. Then he will bring it to he will present that report to all the member nations, and then the member nations, I think they would vote on the report to say they are adopting the whatever is in that report. So what we are suspecting is Pakuzoti, because each member state has a vote. My understanding is for that report to be adopted, all the member states need to agree on the outcome of that report. Kanavazo Vuma Manje, that's when it becomes ratified. But if it is kana report here ichi isinga if it's written in a way that countries like South Africa are not happy with, and because I think everyone has to ratify it for it to be adopted. So if any member country says no, then you pretty much have a report that is headed nowhere. But what that will do maybe is the fact that the report exists in itself is also a good thing, because it can also be used to argue kuti the elections were not free and fair, whether it gets ratified or not. And maybe issue is kuti what action SADC will take. It means kuti kana if it's ratified, they will think about the only thing they can do is sanctions. And sanctions will pretty much be a no-no, because no one in SADC believes in sanctions anyway. And I'm just trying to understand what options here, assuming that the SADC report is going to be critical of ZANU-PF. What do you think?
Kuti SADC zvayo, yes, they are giving valid points that can somehow they can be a narrative story in the future or in the end. But as for now, hapana, because
hapana kwazviri kuenda, yes,
hapana kwazviri kuenda, because ivo vanogona kutotaura kuti vatotaura kuti isusu Zimbabwe ndeyedu, takaitora neropa, takaima hamutiudziri, hamusi munyika menyu, imitai zvikwenyu ikoko.
All right. Thanks, Wamambo. Tina Sesizaina Mucharangwanda. I'm just going to give you guys a very quick few minutes to present your comments here. Sesizai, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, my sister, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm heartbroken. I was looking forward for this election. I couldn't even sleep, and at the end, we end up receiving the shock of our lives. 5 minutes, the results, my president.
Are you on the ground?
Hello?
You don't have to tell us exactly where you are, but Murukuzi Mandit.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So
yeah,
I think the only way forward here is like we need to take action as Zimbabweans, not just to wait for Chamisa to say, Chamisa Arguita say. If you take a look example here in South Africa, there's this what we call Dudula, and what Dudula just started as citizens. Vanwaneta foreigners. They are saying this is our community. We are tired of this. They didn't wait for leadership to do what they vakatanga zvinhu handiti. In Zimbabwe, tinoratidza kuti tine kutya handiti. But if we continue to say tinotya, we won't go anywhere. We will not go anywhere. Look now, maybe if we wait for the next 5 years, some will be 40 years, some will be turning 35, it's our generation is being killed. Tichingoti tiri kutya, kusiri kufa kwacho ndekupi. Because now if you want to start a family, you cannot start it nekuti hauna mari, hauna chii, handiti. But tikamira takabatana semazimbabweans, if then we start to do action. Kana tiri kuti charamba tichiita ma-demonstrations toita, kana tichiti tiri kuita stay away toita. We need to take action, not to wait only for Chamisa, because guys, inini I'm heartbroken andiri kunyepa kana ivo vachiti takarwa hondo, kana vakakwanisa kurwa hondo vasina futi, pasina any channel of communication yekuti vaimobilizana kuti we are doing this, vakakunda. What about us? We have everything. Tinawo ma-communication, tinoronga, we have groups, we have what, so that we mobilize ourselves.
Kana
Not to
muchiti
just sit down and say,
no, so that
and
we
wait for another 5 years.
kuti ndinzwisise zvamuri kutaura, my sister here, you are saying kuti obviously whatever we are promoting here has to be within what the law permits in Zimbabwe. Muri kutaura mimi kuti vanhu vounganidzwa poitwa sei kana vanhu vaungana?
Do my demonstrations, like if we remember, that time, Ivan Mawarire paakambosungwa, and people had to go to court up until kuma 7-8 kudzamara inonzi chimeja chitazotora chibuda nekuti vanhu vakanga vatoti we are not going anywhere kusvika matiudza kuti mhosva yaIvan Mawarire yamamusungira ndiyei. That spirit, that's what we want. We were supposed to do it even for like pana job seeker. We were supposed to do that 9 months now. We need to stand up for each other, not to say kana ndauya kuzoraidwa inini mapurisa vanhu havachabudikiri havachaita sei. We need to stand up as community, to stand for each other.
No,
Not to say kuti kana mumwe abatwa tabva tatova vanhu vanobva vatoshaika. We need to stand up, like kuku South Africa vanoti kana community tomboti vaita yekuti varova kana kuti mbavha, handiti munhu wofa. Mapurisa akauya akati ndianauraya, vanongoti tese kana muchitisunga tisungei tese as the community, and there's no way they are going to kusunga munhu wese vogonomuzadza kujeri. It's not practical.
No, I think mataura zvakanaka vanzwa. I think that's what we like as Zimbabweans, kuti kubatana kwakadaro kwekuti tinobatana toramba. Iko zvino anditi there's a story that's circulating right now. You remember yesterday pavaida kuzama kuita press conference pane vanhu vaida kusunga Promise Mukwananzi, and then they to disrupt that, and we are hearing kuti vanhu vakavamisa vaenda vari kunotorwa one by one, right? Izvozvo sekutaura kwamuri kuita kuti dai vanhu vemuma-communities tese tikamira tikati no, zvinhu zvakadai hatisi kuzozvibvuma, then vanhu ivavo iko zvino kana munhu atorwa they are on their own, right? Hakuna munhu ari kubetsera. I think nyaya yekubatana ndo ZANU-PF takes advantage of that.
Like there's this other option that I was thinking, maybe where we stay, and we know each other. We know, like now it's no longer private. Kuti it's no longer. If we like in our communities, we create a group. This part of like in a crescent or in a street. Let's form a group. Kana munhu anototaura, guys, pane munhu ari kundinokera, this is what happening. Group rotoit kana vari kubuda manhu manheru votobuda, what's going on, muri kumutorere chii? Not to, we don't want the scenario yana itaidza mari to keep continuing. We need to have solutions and move forward, not to say ivo vanhu vezanu vanotoziva kuti maZimbabweans anotya, handiti, so they take advantage of that. But if we come up and stand together as one and say kana ukatobata next door wangu neniwo watondibatawo chitonditora neniwo, then as a community we know that we will defeat the enemy. Like izvozvo, so tinenge tichingomirira kuti Chamisa chadai, so Chamiso ane mhuri uyu akananga akungoti kwenini ndofirechi, zvakafanana kana kuti panawiwa. It seems like we are cowards. Tinomusiya.
ega ariko kujeruko. But if we take action that day, sezvakaitwa pana Ivan Mawarira, I don't know if you still remember that, kuti
Yes.
people vakabve koko kwatosviba manheru. Takamira tikati hakuna kwamuri kuenda kusvika kudzamara azoriliswa. That's the spirit that we want, the spirit that people have pavakamirira kuvhota, utsi machembera achirara ko achitouya zotora magombezi. That spirit, that's what we want. Kuti no matter what you say, we are going to stand together as one, not to say vamwe vari kuti alright tinoita tiri panapa pasocial media, but on the ground kana mumwe auya kuzotorwa vanhu votongoti ameno ndezvekwake ndezvechichi. We won't go anyway.
All right. Yeah, no, tinotenda zvikuru, my dear sister. I think you've made a very good point on unity. Unity is the most important weapon that we have as a people. If we are united, hakuna munhu, even Bible charo mukatarisa nyaya the Tower of Babel. Mwari akatarisa Tower of Babel, and he says kuti the unity that is amongst these people, ndikavasiya vachidaro, they are going to achieve their purpose. Saka the Bible and even God understands kuti if we are united, we can overcome the enemy. And let's me
Mwari tiri papoka, Mwari anotobatsira vanhu anozvibatsirawo. If you take a look now ya Goliath na David. David akanga atoti ini ndiri kutonorwisa, ndatora inonzi chinyi, rekeni my sling ndichinofighta muvengi, handiti haana kumboti ndichairwa hondo akagara mumba. No, we need to take action as Zimbabweans, not to say toita sei Chamisa zodeso takangogara. We need to stand up. Like for us ndofunga I graduated in 2017 up to now andina kana kumbobvira ndakaenda kubasa. And you are growing old. Unosvika kupi uchidaro. We need to, because hapana kusiri kufa kwacho hapana. Zvakangofanana. Kana tichangonofira tese kumajeri, that's it.
Yes, no, mataura zvakanaka vanzwadzi. I think it's clear we need to be united and we need to act. What I must just emphasize is obviously we don't want to give ZANU-PF a reason here to come after us, right? We are promoting a peaceful protest under within the confines of within the confines of the law. We want I've just noticed there are some people who are trying to spoil things for us. To me, comments, we need to take up arms or guns or whatever. This is not what we're promoting. In fact, I've just banned a few people that are saying that we do not want anything that is outside what the law permits.
And if we say peaceful demonstrations, as long as we know that we are united, I know.
Yes.
Like even like that option for courts, we can go to court. There tinomira panze totaura kuti tiudzei chokwadi zvinhu zviripo izvi titaurirei uyu, kwete kungoti tongonzi kukoti mongonzi zvatopera kungonzi kukoti kunoendwa nevanhu 2 or what. We need to be there on the ground. Supporting the leader there takamira.
Yes, definitely. I think we have many options here. What is lacking is unity. I think we can encourage each other to be united, especially when it comes to even stay away. And it stay away, you're not hausku uraya anyone's property. You're just staying in your home. Kanapanzi zone stay away, and it kanapanzi stay away.
And it avoids kurohwa kuya nemapurisa and stuff.
It avoids kurohwa. It sends a message. You're not going and destroying anything. You're just staying in your home. But pakadaidzirwa stay away, tinongona pace. Vanhu pace.
Yeah, ndopaunonoti hatina unit ipapo. If we say like this other stay away yatakaita Changira achiri mupenyu, no one. There were few people vakaitawo, but I think it was a successful stay away. Ndozvatinoita mukaita a week. We know zvinorwadza. We know people are self-employed. Zvinorwadza for that time. Zviri nani tirwadziwe for 1 week pane kuti tirwadziwe for another 5 years. Tongoita stay away yedu totoziva kuti we don't want this. Ivo wotoona kuti message haisi kuitika. nokuti zvekuti tiende tinomhanya mumastreet we end up takurohwa. So to avoid that we can do must stay away
All right.
only if people are united.
Yes, unity. I think it's the most is the greatest weapon that we have as a people. Is kana pataurwa kunzi ngatiite zvakati tikasangana, not anything outside the law, right? I need to emphasize this. Kana padaidzirwa zvinhu zvekuti tiite within the law, within the bounds of the law, please let's support anyone ari kudaidzira zvinhu zvakadaro kuitira kuti zvinhu zviende kumberi. And totenda zvikuru. My sister, I've got another panelist here, concerned citizen. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hey, how's it?
Yes, zviri sei baba?
Shaburi zero.
Pichana imi muri kufunga sei? Zvoitwa sei pana?
Baba, hey, zvirukurwadza mudare. But I really agree with my sister. Ne? She was just talking. She was really spot on. But I've got a concern. It's a problem. I think it's a problem that we have. These guys, they actually checked us and then they saw Uti. Our weakest point is Uti. They injected a lot of fear in us. So, and one of the things, like what my sister was saying, we are not united. We can take for an example. Tina Paches, we really want change at the end of the day. But otherwise, there are still a lot of people that are also saying good. There might be not that quite a big number, but there are still people who are still saying good. ZANU-PF is good. We will come up with a solution. Okay, let's have groups. We have groups. We can talk to each other and stuff. There are actually spies that leak that information before we even plan or organize something that is successful, in as much as we would want to be peaceful. But it will be portrayed as something else, because the biggest challenge that we have in our country is once you stand up for your voice, once you say something that is not aligned to what the government needs, and then you are being portrayed as like you are a threat. You understand what I mean? In as much as we would say we want to have a peaceful protest, I strongly agree to that. But there's one thing for sure, that we must strongly expect and people should be ready for that. But our weakest point is once take a row and then we all retreat. I don't know how we can actually solve that problem, but that is the biggest problem that we have. In as much as everyone wants to solve this thing, but we have got that strong fear. If we go there, then in Ghana, are they going to support us? Are they also going to be there? And then everyone recedes. Because one thing that I understand also as well is when we have a protest, but even the government itself or even the other countries, they can only intervene when things are getting too much severe. But it strike and then that is it. Then it will be just Ngotor say it's a light thing, and then it is what it is.
You need sustained effort, right? Make sure kana watanga nyakuzonda that I think we are kuluma kumbe unotaura. All right. So when I into ichoyo lapho uthi kumele sibambane nje sibe one ukwenzela ukuthi nxa bengasichaya, because laba abantu laba they understand ukuthi maybe singabuya first day bazasichaya, then we'll scatter, right? And then they take advantage of that. But nxa i-effort yakhona i-sustained ukuthi nxa singathi sesiyenza lokhu, no one should cower out of whatever plan is there, and ukwenzela ukuthi into yakhona iphumelele until you have a situation ukuthi the world notices and then they intervene, right? Yeah, I think that's the same into esikhathi sikhuluma ukuthi kufunekala i-unity ukuthi sibambane. That's what is lacking amongst ama-Zimbabweans amaningi, ukuthi sibambane khonapha singathi sihlangane kumbe senze i-stay away. Mina I'm up for it. I'm 100% up for stayaways, for example, because I don't believe we should destroy property. I don't think we should take up arms or anything of that sort that is illegal. But mina
another point that I would actually want to emphasize on that one. Sorry, actually, in that one, I just want to emphasize, Kuti, in whatever solution that we're going to come out with either we're going to the streets, either we're going to do stayaways. But one thing for sure, people will be hurt and that will be sure. So one thing that we need to decide on is, Uguti, are we ready for that? And if we are ready, then let's do it. In as much as I strongly support this, but I know, Uguti, we have a problem of, Uguti, a lot of people, they would say, yes, we want to do it, but they easily retreat. You understand?
Yeah, like my temperatures are, I mean, our, like right now, and even we say vakatsamu.
Yes.
By Tuesday, we are back to
people. Yeah, people will forget everything, and especially like now, everyone is just expecting Chamisa to say something. Like even Yena is also overwhelmed by the situation. We also need to assist that guy. Yes.
It is tough, but and I think what we can conclude here is, Kuti, we need unity. Unity, and I think it's a cultural problem. I don't know whether it's something we can solve overnight, but it seems, Kuti, muropa redu isusu maZimbabwean, we were never we are not cut for unity, right? I may not zanoitika matiri, and the enemy takes advantage of that, because once your enemy understands kuti agarova munhu one, the whole community scatters, then he can use that as a weapon kuramba until and they will continue using it. But the moment we realize kuti our weakness yetu ilapa yokuthi asivambananga, and then if we solve that, then nxa uyabona leyana ibhuli sisesikolo anje kwakulamabhuli lawana ukuthi kwesinye isikhathi uyabe even isibhakela uyabe engazaza, but uyabe ethusela, uyabona engakwethusela wena ubuso baleka. But when I remember I did a situation like this, which is saying ngedwa lapha ngathi yazi uthini, next time engabuya kwenza ukuthi angisoze ngabaleka, and I'll try and at least stand up to him and maybe pretend as if kuti ngibambe something, and you know it works. The next time that person tries to bully you, you stand up, or you tell him, this time I've called my brother, I've told my brother, and my brother is not going to accept you bullying me all the time. Now that bullying now knows kuti zvinhu zvachinja, and it akusafana na into sezichinjile lapha. So I think we need to have that mindset kuti kana tati ngatibatanei ngatiregei kuita zviya zvokuti kana reckon handiti inodhonzwa. Then it stretches, like right now takastretch, and it Panozopera Viki, we are back to our old
But
selves. Yeah.
you know, not necessarily saying maybe ndogonanga contradict, but I've also got a concern on saying kuti, yes, we say kuti we want to unite and have one voice, but at the end of the day, if we look at our political state, it will end up being categorized as ukuthi it's partisanship. Ukuthi at the end of the day, we want change. I get it's portrayed as everyone wants change, but then there are some people who are actually saying ZANU-PF is good. They don't need change. They're actually good with whatever that is happening there. We want change, and I would actually want to also put an example here of that thing that happened in Glenview. Yeah, that guy, Warikman, Tinashe Tsutung. That one. That thing it happened in Harare. A stronghold, political, working.
Triple C.
Triple C, that one. So you'd actually see, even though people want change, but still there's this thing that is still in us, that it's not all of us that need change. And in that, it actually weakens us. So let me just, the point that I'm just trying to make is good. Let's just say we have got 100 citizens, consent citizens, I get. In those 100 citizens, we have got at least 80, they need change, I get. And then on the 80 that needs change, the 20, they are fine with whatever that is it. And then with the remaining 80, we've got 40 that are saying no, whether we die or we don't, but we need change. So already now we're only left with 40, and 60, they are no longer part of us. They just want change, but they are not vocal and they can't stand for it. They can't fight for it. And now, if we take those 40 people that actually saying, okay, no, we'll fight for the people, they go in those streets. They only send a couple number of soldiers. They fight those guys, and then no one is vocal about that. And including those 40, when they send the soldiers, even that 20 that were saying no, now we are fine with whatever that is happening, they also add to the number of the soldiers to fight that little number that is fighting for freedom. That's another concern that I actually have in us as Zimbabwe, and I don't know how we are going to overcome on that.
All right. It's not Mr. Concerned Citizen. I think we just want to bring this to a peaceful end, right? Tina Tajamuka Vachangu, but yes, Tajamuka, can you hear me?
Thank you.
All right.
Yes. Hello, Mursei Baba.
Yeah, no, Trugun's White. Thanks a lot for joining.
Yeah.
We just have a few minutes here just to land.
Okay.
Do you want to?
Ndandoda kutaura hangu apo pane vari kuti let's just wait for the leadership. I don't think this is the right time yekuti tichiramba takamirira leadership. Remember last time 2018 takamirira futi leadership. Chamisa vakaendesana kumakoti, but those guys they don't havatombotyi zvinonzi koti, because koti yacho itoriyo ZANU futi. So I think Chamisa ari ega he can't fight for millions of people. It's just Bachedu we have to fight and form some groups and protest peacefully. No mafungira angu, because tikangoti let's just wait and see for the leadership. Ari ega he can't do anything to those thugs.
Yes, but you understand what you call peaceful in ZANU terms is not really peaceful. Just the idea of coming out to ZANU is violence, right? Saka ndosaka
Yes,
vamwe vanga
I'm just saying we cannot start with violence. We can start peacefully and well prepared for violence. If they call it violence, then we can violate.
All right. Okay. Thanks a lot, Tajamuka. Anditi ndo maonero amunhu kuita mukoma. Tinotenda zvikuru vane nguva yekuva nesu nhasi uno. Tinotenda Zimbabwe. It's been a pleasure spending time with you this afternoon. And Changopa, Mr. T, I think you are still with us here. And Vata Tajamuka, let me just give you the last parting. If you can give us your parting shots, what do you think is the way forward as the closing statement here?
Yeah, certainly. Thank you so much. Well, with my closing remarks, I really think, and I'm quite hopeful, as everybody else in Zimbabwe, that this time around, it seems CCC has a different approach in terms of making sure that they defend the people's vote. Because you can see, the reason why I'm saying so, it's because we can see how they've managed to rope in Promise Mkwananzi. And with his portfolio and with the history that we know him from, it seems as if we are going to see a much more interesting, different approach from CCC. And this time around, I think everyone's expectations in as far as peaceful demonstrations and making sure that all our grievances and all our concerns are heard and are seen from whether regional to international, is going to happen this time around. So yeah, I can safely say Chamisa and the team, they are working flat-foot to see that we don't have the only resort to go to the courts, but have an alternative as far as demonstrations are concerned. So yeah, let's wait and see and how they're going to unpack this. But as you could see here from that press conference, he mentioned they've got million tools to use this time around. And one of them, we can see it's not by coincidence that this guy Promise Mkwananzi is on board. And ZANU-PF is well ahead of time. They know his abilities and what he's capable of doing. That's why they're saying they are now bringing up a warrant of arrest against him. So yeah, I'm quite excited and I'm happy that we at least if that happens, we will be on a different ball game altogether.
All right. Yes. No, thank you very much, Mr. T, for
Much
that analysis.
appreciated. Thanks to you
yes.
too.
All right. Thanks. And you have all right. Have a wonderful day, Mr. Tajamuka. Munga kwanza utipo my last thoughts enyu panapa tisati tabula.
Okay, I'm just thinking we're gonna wait until when takangomirira kuti let's just wait and see. As Chamisa doing the way forward, we as Zimbabweans, we have to do something and raise our voices. If we raise our voices in a million, maybe it will be understandable. Through SADC, through AU, they can help us. If you just keep quiet and say, let's just wait, let's just wait. I don't know. We're gonna keep quiet until when?
Yes, can we raise our voices? Munoreva kuti. What are the practical details of doing that? Kunyora tsamba kana kuti vanhu vaende
apa apachatombodi tsamba because there is no way yokuti those thugs vanga understand kuti katsamba kapepa pakutongoda just like a protest. If we can close these fucking embassies, we can close them. We can march there each and every day to raise our voices.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
All right. No, it's not in the school, Mr. Tajamuka nenguva yamatipa kuti kwanise kushare my thoughts enyu nemuri yeZimbabwe. We just have a few minutes here. I just want to commend everyone who has found time to join us here on this live stream. We were looking at what the next steps are for Zimbabwe. I think many of you still feel kuti, in fact, a large, if not every one of you feels kuti we have been cheated, and we feel kuti the results that were announced yesterday were illegitimate and they need to be remedied, or there needs to be some action to correct that theft. And saka tanga chida kuti tinzwe kubva kwamuri kuti munofunga kuti zvinhu zvepi zvingaitwe kuti tikwanise kugadzira kubirirwa kwakaitwa muri yeZimbabwe. I think most of you feel kuti we need to do something, and that something involves protesting within what the law permits, obviously. We are saying kuti we should not just let them have it an easy way here and allow them to steal an election and just continue as if nothing has happened. That's the sentiments that we're getting across the country, and we just want to encourage you to do not give up. If you believe in something, just make sure that you see that thing through to the end. Never, ever, ever allow anyone, to dissuade you from accomplishing your purpose in life. I think this is a life and death situation that we're dealing with here. It means this is not just winning an election. It has got some bread and butter issues for millions of Zimbabweans that are trying to eke a living from kungwava. And it vazhinji vedu kungwava. You know, there's no proper employment that we can talk about in Zimbabwe. So everyone has to go back maybe tomorrow kunyadze kungwava. And ZANU-PF has got no plan. That one we can guarantee you 100%. They do not have, now that they have this power, they don't have a plan for the ordinary person on the street. All they are trying to do is to protect their wealth. The gold mafia knows very well, Kuti, if we had change in Zimbabwe, if Chamisa had won, definitely something was going to be done about them. So they have made sure that through hook and crook, that Mnangagwa will stay as president of the country. What I think actually transpired yesterday is they had these results ready way before even the elections. These results had already been cooked. They'd crunched the numbers, Kuti 52.6, Ndoya Mnangagwa, and whatever, 44% near Chamisa. These things were done even months before this election. This is the way that I feel. Vanga vachingoda ngoti, they were just waiting for the right moment kuti varelease manamba acho. There is no substance. There is no even those numbers. They do not even match anything. It's just numbers they've pulled from the air. And this is the problem that we have in Zimbabwe, Kuti. Zek, you could even see from the look Yemukadzuya Anonzi Chigumba, you know, as a Christian, I'm not attacking you personally, but I have a problem with what she did. You know, you can even tell. I don't have a problem with the person, but I have a problem with the thievery behind the person. You know, you could tell even when she sat there and she was before even she announced the elections, just from the look from her face, that she already knew that she was going to announce something that people are not going to accept. You could tell, you know, I mean, I'm not someone who reads, who's good at body language, but I can tell. I'm old enough to be able to tell Kuti, ma-announcire akaitwa ma-results, even the whole ZEC commission, you could tell kuti these people are just a bunch of crooks. Vanhu vane ma-relations nevanhu vemzano. You know, Jasper Mangwana is a brother to Paul and Nick Mangwana. You've got the daughter to Kembo Muhadi and also some other members there that are family members of senior ZANU-PF officials. These are crooks, daylight crooks, right? What they did yesterday, zvekuuya kuzomirizinga pamberi penyika yese vachita unge pane zvavaita, apart from stealing the election from Zimbabweans, for them to even have the stomach to sit before the cameras and announce a false result. Yeah, they will need a special place in hell if I was the one allocating places where one goes. But it's good that I'm not the one who will be doing those allocations. Mwari, in his abundance of mercies, I'm sure, in his abundant mercy, there is no one that is beyond redemption. So let me just close that with that statement that what we saw yesterday, in as much as it is painful, I know many of you are hurting, these people that we despise so much are still candidates for heaven. God still loves them with the same love that he has for each one of us. I guess maybe what we can do is to pray for them. Let's remember them, that they at least will find it in their hearts to ask for forgiveness. I am almost certain that what was announced yesterday is something they cooked up. There is no substance. You can't even link those numbers to anything apart from the fact that they are false. Right. So it is what it is, Zimbabwe. We cannot do much about it than to just have the same faith that we had before the elections, that God is in full control. Right. Mwari has got 3 ways of answering our prayers. He could either say yes, no, or wait. I'm convinced that we're in a wait scenario here. And don't give up when you are just on the verge of entering the promised land. The biggest challenge that we have is those that are going to give up and those that are going to discourage us. Let's remain united. Let's know that we are on the side of the truth. If we are on the side of the truth, there is no one that is going to overcome what we are holding. And it's kind of, you don't have to fear. That's why we are not fearful about this, because we know that the enemy that we are confronting has got no shred of truth behind them. So let's keep encouraging each other. Let's do it within the confines of the law. Let's not do anything that will give these guys a reason to pounce. And it ngatirambe takabatana. That's number 1. Number 2, ngatisaite zunu. Well, let's not do anything that will fuel the fire here. We want to make sure that we can account for each and every member of this movement even after this election, because what ZANU-PF are going to try and do is to definitely abuse the law to go after each one of us. We're as much vulnerable as you guys are, but what keeps us going is the fact that we are on the side of the truth. So I just want to commend the effort. There are many others that have contributed in kind. Many of you have contributed towards the movement. We are not CCC. We just want to see change in Zimbabwe, and it just happens that CCC is the best foot that we have forward, and this is why we sympathize with them as a movement. So there you are, Zimbabwe. We want to take this time to thank all of you. Wherever you are, do not be discouraged. Do not. What the enemy wants to do is to get you discouraged. And I'm here to let you know that we are on the side of the truth. It may take a few more days or even a few more weeks, even a few more months, but never, ever, ever give up. Especially when you know that the truth is on your side. May God bless you. May his countenance continue to shine upon you. May the good Lord be merciful to you today and forevermore. Bye for now.